Utilizing the strengths of any hero here in Paragon is a very effective way to make sure that when you play that hero, you play them well and you have a successful game. With Kallari, she has amazing escapes, amazing presence on the map due to her ultimate, her global teleport ultimate. This build here is designed to make you an incredible force on the battlefield, split the enemy team, and give your team the advantage no matter what. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first iteration of my new hero building guides that I am going to do. We start off with their math, we go into the build, and then I show you some of the gameplay that I did in the past, practicing with them on my live streams throughout the day, and you probably have seen those videos as those are kind of my daily videos. Hopefully this means that we get better games, better showcases of these heroes, and that makes these guides hopefully shorter and much more helpful. So if we go into here, into the optimal DPS calculator and stat optimizer, we can see here that Kallari has a very interesting interplay between her stats that you can build on her. Because she gains so much attack speed per level and has such a short cooldown on her basic attack, you can see that attack speed here at 14 CP is very much lower than the 18 and 20. It's much more than you might realize, to be honest with you. 14 CP worth of attack speed, that is a lot, but it's not as much as the other. As you can see here, crit is way off the charts at 20 CP into crit, basically 80% crit chance, basically because her scaling on her basic attack isn't that great, meaning you don't want to not crit, or you always want to crit simply because her basic attack doesn't do that much damage. So the most valuable thing to do, therefore, is critting. If that's the best way I can explain it. Hopefully it makes sense. Listen to that a few times. Maybe let that sink in. So as you can see here, the power and penetration is actually pretty good, way at 18. We also take a look at the power of his penetration video, link in the video description there. Go to that and see that Kallari can actually use a lot of penetration. Again, her basic attack scaling isn't that great. She can use a lot of penetration. We have in the build pretty good solid amounts, so it should make her a very tough force to reckon with. These numbers here are what's actually in the build. That I will show you very shortly. 22 CP of power penetration, 10 of attack speed, 20 into crit chance. 20 just to make sure that we are always critting as much as we physically can to get that 250% bonus increase on our basic attacks, meaning we're going to be an absolute monster once we come out of stealth with a huge basic attack, that huge first attack, then followed up with some pretty quick, still 10 CP into attack speed, basic attacks when we are engaged with the enemy, a little bit of life steal in there, so hopefully just sustain just a little bit more, and you know, with some smart play, you should be able to do a lot of damage. 22 CP into power penetration, simply because, as you can see, it's a little bit more than what's recommended here, just so that that burst that she has, 250% damage on her first basic attack out of stealth, that first little burst is powerful, and when you go ult in on somebody, it is going to do a significant amount of damage. We are emphasizing her burst just a bit more, simply because we, you know, more than 9-10 attack speed, I haven't seen where that starts to pay off. I can't really say. That math is too complicated for me, you know, trying to figure out when that's going to pay off. Anyways, I think this is a fairly good compromise between always making sure we're doing a lot of damage with that high crit chance and still getting a good amount of attack speed, but having a lot of damage there on the basic attack. That is the math behind her. Hopefully you guys learned something about how she works, what the math says behind her, and maybe that helps inform you how to build your Kallari. So here is Grey Fox Kallari. It's quite different from my other Grey Fox Kallari. This is kind of Grey Fox version 2, where we are focused on split pushing and team fights. Split pushing and team fights, that's the focus of this build, simply because we want to utilize her ultimate for much more than just a teleport. We want to pull an enemy away from a team fight that is forced to deal with us because we are split pushing. They don't want to lose a tower, but then we use our ult to teleport to the team fight, automatically creating a numbers advantage easily. Either they ignore us split pushing and we can get a tower or two or whatever. We can get that inhibitor, or somebody does come over to deal with us, and we can automatically make, once we ult into the team fight that is happening, a 5-on-4 for our team. Either way, it's a win-win, and you know what? Either way, it's a win-win. It's a fantastic strategy. It was really, really effective in the game that you're about to see, so it was really awesome. I think it's a really cool way to play Kallari that, you know, utilizes a lot of her strengths more so than a lot of other ways to play her. So you start off here with the strike with a health potion and a healer token. Very, very meta to do that sustain in the off lane, or you can jungle with just the Sage's Sylphin. There are no upgrades simply because I'm trying something new. You actually get 3 CP of value just by equipping it. Power, health, and that passive. So really, upgrading you know, the Sage's Sylphin further would definitely give you 4 CP of value, but what it does, since, you know, in the jungle and whatnot, you want to maybe get into the ward a little bit faster, I'd like it. I am a-okay with spending 3 CP to get the 3 CP of value. Maybe not 4, like maybe not that fully upgraded bonus. I'm a-okay with that simply because Kallari, she can do quite a bit of stuff with her kit. So you got either start with the Sage's Sylphin or the healer token and health potion if you're in the off lane. After that, in the off lane, you go into another healer token, or you can get your Assassin's Ward depending on what you want. Kallari has great escapes, so you can definitely forego the Assassin's Ward in that off lane. Get 2 healer tokens, strike token, a health potion, something like that, since you are CP starved, and that is so effective. Healer tokens times 2 of them. Oh, you can sustain forever in that offlane using your dagger to get those last hits. If you're in the jungle, Sage's Sylphin into the Assassin's Ward, and then after that you go into the same build for each hero, or for each role, sorry. Next you go into 2 Wind Carver Blades, and you're not upgrading your Assassin's Ward. That is for the very, very late game. You go into 2 Wind Carver Blades, as has her attack speed. She gets lots per level, so you don't really need that much attack speed till a little bit later on. After these 2 Wind Carver Blades, you can actually get this Thunder Cleaver whenever you like. This Thunder Cleaver is meant for those easy jungle camp clears, which is very, very effective, and also is a big part of our wave clear. We can push a lane, we can hard push a lane so that the enemy is really forced to come over and deal with us. Get this Thunder Cleaver whenever you want, in between the Wind Carver Blades, before the Wind Carver Blades, after them, whenever you kind of feel like you really need it to start pushing lanes. When people start grouping up, and then you can maybe start split pushing a little bit more, stuff like that. So there's a Thunder Cleaver, these 2 Wind Carver Blades. That's the first 3 cards that you really are trying to focus on getting. After that, you get Spear of the Rift Hunter. Is your little bit of crit here, about 20%. After that 20%, you go into the Blade of Agora. Makes a nice 9-point card to replace maybe your Sage's Sylphin or a healer token, something like that. Makes it very nice. In there, you also want to get Scourging Tails. Scourging Tails gives us on your next ability hit on enemy hero, will shred 20 basic armor for 6 seconds. What this does is you pop Scourging Tails, use your ultimate, which reveals all the enemy heroes, counts as an ability hit on an enemy hero, meaning all of the enemy team has 20 basic armor shred for 6 seconds. You use Scourging Tails, you use your ultimate, ult in on a target, preferably the ranger, and or whoever, really, doesn't kind of matter, preferably the ranger, and you can really go to town on them. This is a fantastic card. I think it actually works really well. Great communication with your team, and using that, I think it's a really, really cool way to get a little edge over the enemy. Again, Scourging Tails, Thunder Cleaver, you're kind of getting that inside these Wind Carver Blades and the Spear of the Rift Hunter to make sure that you are kind of doing your job, split pushing, and being helpful for those team fights that you're ulting in on. After the Spear of the Rift Hunter, again, Blade of Agora, then you go into your Spear of the Rift Hunter. This is the big, big, big card, 15 CP cost, simply because you want this crit. You want this crit. Remember, her basic attack doesn't scale very well, power doesn't scale very well with her, and she loves a penetration. So crit is what is going to increase her damage the most, and you really want this next. This is the big cost card, but it is so worth it. Huge power spike at this point, but it's actually not that bad because you are clearing waves a lot, it does actually really work. You're farming a lot, should be anyways, so it's really not that bad. After this Spear of the Rift Hunter, you actually will be doing enough damage to clear waves pretty damn quick. So you actually just don't keep this Thunder Cleaver for the rest of the game. You go into this Wind Covered Blade for a whole bunch of kinetic, because that is, now that you're critting for a lot of damage, you want to be doing that much more often. So then you get this Wind Covered Blade, followed after this Wind Covered Blade by your Assassin's Ward upgrades and your Scourging Tail upgrades. It makes the last 12 CP, very nice and easy. You just put it into this Assassin's Ward in the Scourging Tails, and at that point, at 48 CP, you're pretty much a powerhouse, as you get all the upgrade bonuses unlocked at that point. Last 12 CP, really just gravy. A little bit of the drain to help once you do get in on team fight, take some hits. You can just go back into lane, farm up, and continue on. The Major Pierce, she really likes Pierce, again, just with how the math works on her basic attack, she really needs it. So this might not be enough, but again, remember, Scourging Tails will give you that shred. So even on a carry, you're still not taking away all of their armor, but it will certainly help. Then of course, the damage there brings us up to where we're focusing on damage a little bit more. There's a build, guys. A little long-winded, sorry, but I really feel there is importance, there is value in me explaining it, so that maybe you can kind of, maybe you can understand and kind of get a good understanding of the underlying kind of functions of the math and how these heroes work with stats. So again, final build, Blade of Agora, not the Thunder Cleaver. This Wind Carver Blade, this Spear of the Rift Hunter, this Spear of the Rift Runner, Assassin's Ward, and Scourging Tails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's go take a look at the gameplay. So here in the early game, you want to start by clearing these camps here by your green camp. Next, you go into this camp here, because what you're doing is you're killing these just a little bit here to then get the green camp. What the green camp is going to do is obviously give you that shield, which will help you to clear the next camps very easily. Well, you're only clearing one camp, the one that's very close to here, and then you're using that green buff to go and take the river camp. Either two things can happen. You either with your mid laner, you then can grab both river buffs, or you can go and help them take out the enemy. And you can actually, the Grux there actually did exactly what I was talking about there, and I come over here to try to peel for him, and I do just that. And as you can see, you want to keep that green buff so that you can contest those river buffs. Now that you have the green buff, I was kind of trying to do something there with the Shinbi, but I was like, she did choose to go back very smart on her. I should have had the green buff there to help me take this camp, and then you use the green buff to explode on this camp, making this camp much easier to take down. After you take this camp, then you kind of continue your rotation through the jungle, as at this point you might have a CP or two to go back, a strike token or something like that. As you can see here, the very first ability that we did get, was our Shadow Slip, our stealth. Why? Simply because that gives us 250% bonus damage on minions, or just on your basic attack. And I actually feel like that's a little bit safer. That's a little bit safer of an option. It does good damage on those minions, but also if you happen to get jungle invaded, or the mid lane, or that mid lane engagement, river buff engagement doesn't go too well, then you can use it to go into stealth, which I think is much more beneficial than either slowing somebody with your dagger or backflipping. So that's why I like doing that. As you can see here, I get the green buff as much as I can to help me with these camps here as I go into the shadow. Use my Shadow Slip, get some good basic attack damage on the minions. So at this point, you are just going around clearing the jungle. As you can see, I cleared those two 5 camps in the left weak side jungle, and now our strong jungle here is nice and juicy for the taking. What you also want to do is don't get into too many engagements too quick. Here I do get my ultimate and I ult in on the Twin Blast. It's pretty much a waste simply because our safe lane was getting a little bit pushed, but I did want to make sure that that kill was engaged. In terms of unlocking your abilities, you want to go for your Shadow Slip. As you can see here, I have it upgraded twice here, simply because you want to increase that duration. Increasing that duration allows you to stay in shadow mode, in stealth, quite a bit longer, and that's really important. Level 1 is only like 8 seconds, so you really want to do that. You really want to increase that so that you can actually, you know, like get into a good position when you're stealth and not have to like always use it. It's just really good. The next ability I definitely think you should upgrade after your stealth is your E for that increased slow and damage. Your backflip, really, you only really get one chance to use it, so decreasing that cooldown isn't overly that effective. So the amazing thing about Kallari is that global ult, the ability to ult in, just like I do here, maybe secure a kill, not really, but create a numbers advantage where previously there was none. And that is what I'm trying to think here. Where can I split push? Where can I draw the enemy back? I secure the kill here on this Twin Blast and manage to get away. We don't get the tower, but the Grex just did a great job there pushing, and maybe we should have pushed that a little bit more. So again, trying to use your ultimate in much more of just a ult in on somebody. It's a pull somebody out of position, force the enemy to deal with you, and then use that teleport to create a numbers advantage. Always keeping an eye out on the battlefield for somebody that is low, or somebody that you can create the advantage on. Don't just ult in on somebody willy-nilly. Here I see that our Decker there was getting a little bit overextended by the Raptors. I'm not going to ult in on that. Don't ult in on that. Only ult in if you know that you can take somebody down either with your ultimate, as they're, you know, just barely getting away, or if creating that numbers advantage will certainly win that fight. That is what you want to do here. As there, I do miss the fact that this Shinbi does ult in as she walks straight back, not even stopping there for me to ult in on. So here I'm keeping an eye on this Kwang. I'm like, oh, if he can just get a great burst off on the enemy here. I'm watching my teammate fights there. As you can see, I was kind of being careful. I was like, what do I do here? This is where I choose to maybe go in, but I was like, nope, they got the advantage. They're too much, so I couldn't really do much. As here I'm just kind of trying to wait for something to happen, as now I'm going to try to maybe get this Twin Blast, but the Decker does stun me very nicely. So play it very smart with Kallari. That is really the thing you have to do. You got to play smart on her. You can't just kind of just run in there like a fighter, right? Play it smart. Really, you can't 100 to 0 health somebody. You gotta pick your battles and kind of amplify what your other teammates do, and you kind of gotta be like you gotta be the one that puts the nail in the coffin while your team kind of sets it up, if that makes sense. So here's me trying to be a hero. You know, 4 of the enemy team here pushing the mid lane, and I go in right in from behind, try to tickle the Twin Blast for some reason, and they take my life very easily. There, I wanted to use my ult to get out of there on the howitzer there in our right lane. Didn't work out. Don't do that. Don't try to be the hero. Try to be sneaky, come in from the back. It's not going to work out. So this is a great example of how your split pushing can kind of lead to multiple things. The Decker and the Twin Blast here rotate over to deal with me, pulling the rest of both our teams over. We happen to get the good pick here on the Shinbi, or on the Countess? No, the Shinbi. And you can see there that all of that activity and trying to deal with a split pushing Kallari leads to either you know, the enemy team trying to rotate over to me, my team seeing that and trying to take advantage of that, or my team grouping up, pushing another lane, and then me ulting over to them to create that numbers advantage. Kind of said that multiple times, but now is when we can. As you can see, if you take a look at my cards here, we have the Thunder Cleaver with that active, nice and ready to go. Scourging Tails, nice and ready to go. Got rid of that Sylphin because we're doing good enough damage now. We don't really need that. And a Wind Carver Blade. Now we kind of have the damage. We're just kind of getting started. It's a little bit slow here in this early game, but remember, you're a little bit of an investment as a Kallari. You do scale well as an assassin, so you're just trying to maybe farm up a little bit more than normal and try to split push, especially because now we have those cards. It's going to be really nice. As you can see here, look at me just kind of decimate, boom, very nicely take down that minion wave. Now you can split push and definitely start utilizing the strategy of this build. So here is a perfect example of what I'm trying to do. I am trying to split push this lane here. As you can see, I'm constantly looking over. I'm constantly looking over at that team fight in the mid lane. It's going well for us, so I just simply, hey, I'm gonna push this tower as much as I can. Again, look at me. I'm constantly looking at that mid lane, seeing what's happening. I'm like, hey, we have the advantage, so I'm not going to ult in. I put down a ward to try to keep me safe here in this right lane. Now I ult in, and look at that Twin Blast. He is over in that lane, forced to deal with that. We already have the numbers advantage, but we are able to, do more than we would have if we had managed to kill that Shinbi and maybe push the mid lane. But anyways, perfect example of that Twin Blast being out of position to help us, or to help his teammates in that engagement. Once again, another example. I'm looking over there. I'm placing a ward, trying to stay safe, and I'm watching the team fight. It went in our favor, even though the enemy team doesn't have a numbers disadvantage. I choose to ult over. I figure that was the time. As you saw there, each person there, it has been taken out, but I'm like, hey, we're going to continue to press this advantage. I can see that the Shinbi is low, and we have the advantage due to the health pools, so I choose to continue on. As a Kallari, you have that increased max movement speed in stealth, so I choose to kind of keep on going, try to do something. I give our Grim the vision so that he could do that, and that was absolutely fantastic there, as he wouldn't have been able to do that. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to wait. I'm like, ooh, where is that opportunity to try to do something? And this map control is incredible. The enemy team's lanes are pushed up here. As you see, the mid lane is kind of more or less on the enemy side. We have the presence to push into their own jungle, as I'm taking these really quick because that Thunder Cleaver, I can. And that right lane is a-okay. Again, that Grux forced to go over there and deal with it. So map awareness is a very key thing with Kallari. You need that map awareness here. I'm taking a look in that mid lane. I'm like, ooh, can they deal it with themselves? I was like, no, they can't. So I go in, make sure that somebody is dead, and then I'm like, ooh, where can we push? We have the advantage. Let's go and push. And that is exactly what we do. Now, Kallari kind of definitely does have a rotation. That very first attack there does a lot of damage, and as you can see, I miss my dagger. And what you want to do is hit somebody out of stealth, use your dagger immediately to animation cancel, do your next basic attack, which is obviously going to do quite a bit of damage, and then kind of just keep going from there. After you get a few basic attacks in on them, you can use your stealth. You can use your stealth before you jump back out of jump back out of the engagement, and then kind of continue on your way in stealth, in nice and safe. So as you can see there, I forced the Twin Blast to kind of go close to my howitzer, being sneaky, trying to finish things, not necessarily start them. You don't want to do that as a Kallari. You have to play smart. You really do have to play smart. I chose to be really aggressive here, simply because, I'm Kallari, I got the Thunder Cleaver, I do a pretty good amount of damage here, and I can easily take that out. And again, you have that vision. You can just be all over the map doing quite a bit. Hear this Kwong, and make sure that he can get away with his sword, and we are okay. Again, hear this. I'm not actually okay, simply because you have this great escapes. Look at that, easily able to go to escape with your Q, your stealth, and then into your backflip, as there's a little bit of a delay between when your stealth activates. Here's another example of our global presence, sitting back at base, usually trying to go back to base only when you have your ultimate available to you. So you can very easily here go, hey, and I'm back on the battlefield. Because we are farming up now, because we have a very nice lane presence and farm, we are nice and powerful now, and we can easily come over here, secure the kill on that Shinbi, and just delete this this Grux going after our carry. And now I'm looking for another victim here, as I look at this Twin Blast, a little bit of body blocking by the enemy minions, as I was like, damn it, as that definitely would have been something. And now I decide to join the rest of my team. Again, you can see how you gotta play really smart. You gotta be really smart. You can't, just go balls out, kind of right up in the face of the enemy, utilizing the opportunities that your friendly team has created in order to kind of, secure an objective, whether that be winning a team fight or something like that. Here, I'm trying to be as aggressive as possible, as I know that I could have taken out that Decker if I just played a little bit better. Here, I choose to go on the Howitzer as I force his ultimate there, and now I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure why I chose to walk through that, because I could have, I don't know, maybe done a little bit more. Look at all of this presence here. As I try to throw out the knife, knew that the dagger wouldn't finish it, but at least harass them. And look at this presence. They are on the back foot, just absolutely forced to be careful. They can't rotate. I am there to kind of take care of them. It's really strong. Kallari is scary in the right hands. So here we are with our crit bonus, and now I ult in here, and kaboom, there is one dead Grux, and now this Howitzer has absolutely no way. Look, I'm being careful. When can I go in? Now's my chance, and I'm trying to wait for that moment for him to get away there, and to save my dagger for, when he's trying to get away, and boom, he is dead. At this point, guys, you kind of get the idea of this build with Kallari. You're trying to, obviously still, as you see here, I'm trying to still, take care of siege objectives and defend and whatnot, and be a part of team fights. But if you can split push, if you can force the enemy team to deal with your split push, and then use your ult to create a numbers advantage for your team, it's really strong. And you know what? This works really well. You get a lot of farm. You can level up quite nicely. You can see here, I'm 48 CP, well beyond the rest of my team, and besides my carry, of course, but I'm beyond the enemy team, even their carry here, and it's really effective. Use her ultimate, that global presence, to create a numbers advantage, and I think it works really, really well. Now, this is a good example of playing smart with Kallari. Some of you won't like this, but sadly, I think this is the right play. Watch my Howitzer get eaten alive here by the Decker and Twin Blast, and you know what? That was necessary. If I had shown my face, I myself would have just died, and this would have gone not the way it did. Instead, we get a 2-for-1, which is good, being their support and their carry. We lose our caster, but you know what? I could have died as well. There was smart play. If I had joined in, the Twin Blast and Decker would have just kind of turned on me as well. I would have been dead as well. Wouldn't have been able to save the Howitzer because of the fence. That's the kind of the fortunate way of playing Kallari. You can't be the ultimate playmaker. You can't 100-0 somebody with 1v2. Unfortunately, that's just how it is with Kallari. She's an assassin. not the ultimate playmaker, unfortunately. Playmakers like this that are very strategic in pulling this, as you can see, there's Grux here, pulling this Grux out, away from his team. So maybe my Kwong and whoever that is that's also alive can maybe do something. That's kind of where Kallari really excels. But as for in team fights, she kind of just comes in and boom, she cleans up. Once the two teams have kind of duked it out, boom, that's when she comes in with her stealth and her and her dagger and her backflips to kind of completely disorient the enemy as they're trying to retreat, and she cleans up. Once again, this is the beauty of Kallari. Able to defend a tower, push up this right lane just a little bit, making sure it's going in the right direction. After a team fight here, I secure the kill to make sure that we get a one-to-one trade, and that is okay. Now we defended the lane, or else that tower there would have gone down, and now it's pushing in our direction, and I secure the kill. Perfect. What more could you ask for? That's really a showcase there of the strength of that global ult. And unfortunately, we lose this one as I throw the game in a pretty bad engagement. They get, or Prime, they get the siege advantage, and they finish the game. 57-minute game. Very, very good game indeed. And, as a fantastic, I think, showcase of Kallari. There you go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think of this build of this style of guide? Kind of feel it was a little bit kind of over the place, but good. It was definitely a good showcase of Kallari, of what I was going for with this build. Let me know down in the comments if you like this, if you kind of like the style of these heroes and hero builds and guys. And I think it is. I think it works a little bit better. Please like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community. Of course, guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.